Welcome everybody to this episode of Work Punks, in which us punks are again answering questions related to work issues or problems that you may have. Okay, I've got a letter here. And the question is as follows. Dear Work Punks, I have a new team member starting next month. Their role is critical. What should I be doing in the first couple of weeks to build trust as quickly as possible? I'm a little bit intrigued about your question because for me, trust is a two-way thing. So I wonder whether you would like to find out if you can trust your new hire as quickly as possible, or would you like your new recruits to feel trusted and feel empowered? So these are two different things. Hopefully they come together. Let's assume you want to achieve both. I think the most common pitfall often when you have a new recruit is to swamp them with inductions, with mandatory training, with setting targets, making sure that they understand the strategy of the organization or the department. And for you as a manager, that gives you a bit of a feel of control, right? But at the same time, the person involved may feel so overwhelmed that actually they don't feel empowered. They don't necessarily feel that they've been hired to bring their best to the job. On the other end, to just leave them at their own devices and let them figure out how the organization works, that's I think even worse. I mean, and to be honest, that happens probably more often than you might think. I mean, there are plenty of new recruits who find themselves knocking on the door of their new employer and nobody knows that they are expected that nobody has arranged anything for them to be trained on or welcomed or what have you. So well, we definitely don't want that. So for me, the best approach, as you might guess, is somewhere in between. So make sure that first and foremost that you give a good impression as the new employer that's really motivating. So you're expecting them, you've got everything ready, their lanyard, their hardware, their login, all that sort of stuff. But most importantly, you have time to really have some good conversation with the person, in which you can make clear that you've hired them for their skills and their experience and their energy levels. And then I think it's about supporting them and then allowing them to explore their work environment and how they can contribute as quickly as possible to your department, to your organization. And I think that's a combination of, well, personally, I really like the buddy model or the mentor model. So rather than the manager recruit sort of dynamic, try to shake that up a bit by having one of their colleagues buddy them through those first weeks or months even of their joining the organization, so that they can find their feet more quickly, get a grasp of the culture, where are the toilets, where are the coffee machines and all the rest of it. But more importantly, get a feel for who is who and how the organization works. And then for you to have regular check-ins with your new recruit and jointly define what their priority is going to be in the first instances, and really have this sort of listening attitude with the aim to support them through those first months. Then I'm pretty sure you'll build the mutual trust and mutual appreciation pretty quickly, and they will feel safe in the knowledge that they can raise questions and take initiative that would really help them and your department together. So I hope that's something you can work with.
And I think, I suppose what Paul was getting at is, this is, you build trust by treating them properly, because so often in those sorts of inductions are badly handled. I mean, so yeah, I can remember going to a job and not seeing my boss for about 3 days. It's like, well, I thought I was important, obviously not. So yeah, I think the point I was going to make, I mean, one of the ways you build trust is by giving it to people, and so you need to have a conversation with them to make it clear that you've recruited them for their skills and their experience, and you trust them to get on with the job. That you're going to have an adult to adult relationship with them. You're not going to micromanage them or second guess them. you've brought them in because that's, it's for them to do the job, and uh, and give them permission, should you start micromanaging them, to call them out, for them to call you out rather.
Mm.
Yeah, and if you can, give them something that clearly gives them the trust to do something early on. So say, I don't know, it might not be a really important thing. It might be like, oh, we've got our staff, we're all going out for drinks or something, someone needs to organise it. Do you think you could sort that out, and go around and talk to the talk to the staff, whatever. I'll leave it with you. It might be something more important than that, obviously. But I do remember the first job I had. Uh, I went to see it wasn't my boss, it was my boss's boss, about something I'd been given to do. And I was sort of talking to her about, like, well, what do I do here? And I remember, it's just stuck with me to this day. This must be like 40 years ago or more. She said, well, we recruited you because you're clever and you're able. So I'm sure you'll figure it out. And it was like, I walked out of there feeling 10 feet tall. It's like, yes, I can, as they would say today, I've got this. So,
Love that.
yeah, I think it's really important just to sort of, make it clear that's, you trusting them and them trusting you is part of the job.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that feeling
Nice.
valued, isn't it? So I have never forgotten my first exchange with the guy who was my, at the time, boss's boss, ended up working for him directly, but that's by the by. And on day 3, and the first time that we'd met when I was in that role, he ushered me into his office. So he was the boss, he was the MD of the whole operation in the UK. And he proceeded to share a slide deck that he was going to be sharing with the city the following day. And he said, you've been around the turnaround of this organization for longer than I have. I'm going to be stood up in front of the all the portfolio managers, investment fund holders, etc. tomorrow. I need to make sure that I'm giving a fair and reasonable yet still positive account of where we are. Can you give me your thoughts? And I was utterly blown away. That was such an expression of, I really value what you think and I really trust what you say, and I'm going to act on your advice, 2 layers up, right at the very top of the organization. So that I also would hold up as an example of, in the context of this question, this letter, you only get one chance to make a first impression, right? So that first day that individual is going to spend with you as their new boss is really, really precious. So treat it as something that's really, really precious. The other thing that's a one-off opportunity in this context is they are a smart person with great skills and experience, otherwise you wouldn't have hired them. So before they get, contaminated by your organization, get them to just share, no judgment, but just share what they observe as a fresh pair of eyes and what the improvement opportunities might be. And actually just asking that question is a great way of demonstrating your belief in them and your trust in them. And then thirdly, the only other thing I would say is just do not underestimate the impact and the power of your attention. When you sit down with this person, give them your absolute full and undivided attention. Don't allow any interruptions. Demonstrate that they've been heard. Demonstrate they've been understood. So just really being ultra present itself is just going to have such a big impact on trust and lots of other things. So those early days of your relationship as a key team member. So yeah, no pressure, but I'd say there's a lot of things that are really one-off opportunities. So yeah, do prepare well and make the most of it.
Thank you everybody for watching this episode of Work Punks. We were Colin Newlyn of Decrapify Work, Ben Simpson of VitalOrg, and Paul Jansen of TrustWorks. We hope to see you or hear you again in our next episode. Bye, everybody.
Bye.